Good morning everyone, Jamie here. Welcome back to my garden. I hope you all are having a fantastic day. So today I have just a couple of random things that I want to get done and show you guys. Actually 3 random things. The first thing I want to do is I need to cut back some of my hydrangeas, my panicle hydrangeas. It's mid-January here in Northern California, zone 9B. So we're only about a month, 6 weeks away from things starting to grow. So it's time for us to kind of prune back and cut back our panicles. And those all bloom on new wood. So now's the time that you can cut them back. So I want to show you guys how I do that. And then the other 2 things I want to do have to do with my cut flower garden and seed starting. So it's starting. My seed starting was a bit delayed this year because I did the cool flower method from Lisa Mason Ziegler. So I already have my cut flower garden full of seedlings and they're growing and they're doing so well. And now I'm actually starting to sow some seeds for other parts of my garden. And one other thing I wanted to show you guys is I wanted to show you guys a Google Sheets document that talks all about my cut flower garden seed succession plan. So when I had my Gardening for Beginners video, I'll link it right up here right now, I was having a hard time explaining how I was going to, switch over from one flower to another and the timing and everything like that. So I was kind of racking my brain of how I could show you guys a little bit better. And I decided to make a Google document that I could share with you guys so you could see exactly what I was planning this year. And what that Google document shows is when I'm going to sow the seeds, when I'm going to transplant them out, and then when I can plan on harvesting those flowers. Obviously, it's a guess, it's an estimate, it's, Mother Nature's not going to give me a flower right on the day I tell her to, but it's kind of an idea of when I can plan for there being flowers. So with that document, I can really look and I can see when I'm going to be flush with blooms and I can make a bunch of bouquets, and when things might be a little bit quieter and I might have to do something else. So let me show you that right now. Okay, and here it is. So if you guys click on the link that's in the description below, it'll take you to this Google Sheets document. It's a view-only document, but you can see it is my cut flower succession for 2022. All the flower names are listed on the left, and all the months are listed down below. And then on the flower names, they're divided into the different successions I have. And the first one is winter spring, and I'm adjusting that right now to say the cool flower method because these are the seeds that I sowed in September and October of last year, 2021. And then below that, I have my spring and summer succession, my summer fall succession, and then I do have a bonus planting succession. And that bonus planting succession is actually not in my cut flower garden. It's in the rest of my garden, but you'll see why in a second. So up above, I have the dates of the month, and then if I follow the dates, I can just see what I need to do on each date. So you can see on January 18th, I need to sow my Bells of Ireland seeds, and I need to sow my hollyhock seeds. Then if I move to February, there's a couple more seeds that I need to sow, some for my bonus planting and some for my spring-summer planting. Then I move to March, and that's when I am guesstimating that all of my cool flower method flowers will be in full bloom. So if you see a big swath of color, that means that I'm expecting bloom at that time. And then as I move to April, you can see when I'm planning to pull, because that's when my spring summer seedlings are ready to transplant. And I will be putting them in the same spot that I pulled the corresponding flower in my cool flower method. So if you look in May, I don't have a lot going on in my cut flower garden, so I decided to add a couple cut flowers into the rest of my garden so that it can take me to June and July when my spring-summer succession is in full bloom. And then you can see the end of July and August is when I pull, and then August is kind of a slow month. So again, that's when I've added some bonus plantings in the rest of my garden so that I still have some flowers, specifically sunflowers. That's what I did last year. Is there was a period of time when I really wanted some sunflowers and they just weren't in bloom. And so that's something that I think this will really help. It'll bridge the gap. So then you can see in September and October, my summer fall succession is going to be in full bloom. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous, perfect timing. And then in November 1st, my plan is to pull everything, and that is when I will sow my cool flowers for 2023. So as you can see in that document, it's pretty complicated, but it actually makes things a lot more simple for me because I just have to go through, look at the date, and figure out what I need to do that day. And then I can kind of plan out the next week or two of what I'm going to be planning on doing. So for today, January 18th, what I need to do is I need to sow some seeds. I need to sow my Aunt Shelby's hollyhock seeds that she gave me. I'll put up a picture right here. They're this beautiful pale pink hollyhock that she grew in her garden, and I'm really excited that she shared some seeds with me, so thank you, Shelby. And I've actually never sown hollyhock seeds before. I know how easy they are, but hollyhock seeds are biennial. They usually bloom in the second year, but I read that if you start them early enough inside, you might be able to get some blooms the first year. So that's what I'm planning to do with my hollyhock seeds. I've taken them out of the little seed pod, and I actually have some soaking in a bowl of water right now. So I'm going to sow those. And then the other thing I need to sow that you saw on my Google Sheets is I need to sow my Bells of Ireland. And these are Bells of Ireland that I bought from Johnny's. And these are Bells of Ireland that I actually harvested from my crop last year. So I'm going to do them both. And then these are a little bit different because what I'm going to try this year is I'm going to try pre-sprouting them in a wet paper towel. So what they say you do, Bells of Ireland seeds I found to be really hard to germinate. Johnny's Seeds recommends that you direct sow them. I had zero luck with that. Like 0 of them came up. And so I had a little bit more luck with them just doing it regularly in seed trays. But then I was reading, and pre-sprouting in a wet paper towel is supposedly make it kind of foolproof. So that's my plan for today. Let me move my hollyhock seeds out of the way, and then we can get started with pre-sprouting these Bells of Irelands. So what they say you need to do is you need to have a plastic bag, and then you need to have a paper towel, and you need to wet the paper towel. So I'm just going to take my watering can, and I'm just going to wet it all over, just like that. And then it's pretty easy. All you're going to do is you're going to spread out some seeds onto your wet paper towel, and then depending on the seed, whether it's a light loving germination seed like Bells of Ireland, or whether it needs darkness to germinate, and you can tell that on the back of the seed packet, is depending on where you're going to put it. So Bells of Ireland really likes light, so I'm going to put these under my grow lights inside, and then I'm going to check it every day, and as soon as I start seeing some germination, then I'm going to put them into the seed starting trays just like I normally would. And then I would know which ones germinated and which ones didn't. So I'm going to do all the ones that were in the seed packet, and then I'm also going to do the ones that I harvested, which I'm really excited about. I got a ton of these. Don't those look good? So I'm going to put those there as well. There we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to fold it up. And then slip it in this plastic bag. And then, like I said, put it under my lights and check it every single day. And as soon as I start seeing the seeds sprout, I'm going to put it into a seed tray with seed starting mix, and I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of vermiculite just to keep it moist on top. Here we are inside at my grow light station, and I will just put my Bells of Ireland right there so you can see they're getting lots of light. And like I said, I'll just check these every single day until they sprout. Okay, and then for the hollyhocks, these pink hollyhocks that I'm going to sow, like I said, I'm not going to put them in a seed starting tray. I'm just going to put them in a regular pot. And the reason for that is because they have really long tap roots. And what I read is that you don't want to disturb those tap roots. And so I'm just using regular potting soil for this. I'm going to pre-moisten it, And then same thing as the Bells of Ireland, they need some light to germinate. And so I'm not going to cover these with much dirt. I'm just going to kind of press them in and see how they do. So these have been soaking probably for about, I don't know, 4 hours now. I'm just going to push it in. I'm going to do 3 in each, and then I will thin them out as needed. And again, it's super easy to direct sow hollyhocks. The only reason why I'm doing this year is because I'm trying to get blooms this year of this particular hollyhock. So the goal for this is to give it a couple extra weeks growing time, and then hopefully that will allow them to bloom this season, because wouldn't that be nice? So yes, I'm being an impatient gardener, just like Erin, the impatient gardener, but I want to see the blooms this year. All right, so all done with that, let's get to the hydrangea pruning. Okay, so here's one of my limelight hydrangeas. I have 2 here right underneath this pergola, and you can see I left the blooms on over the winter because I really like the winter interest, and I'm actually kind of sad that I'm cutting them off, but I have to think, you know, a month or 2 with nothing there, and then they're gonna start giving me some beautiful green leaves, and then eventually their blooms this summer. So what I'm gonna do when I prune my panicle hydrangeas, I do 3 things. First thing is I cut to the height that I want it to be, kind of like a uniform dome height, and then you can see these are up against the fence, so I kind of want the ones on the front to be a little bit shorter than the ones in the back, so that it kind of you know, cascades up towards the back of the fence. And then after I've cut the blooms off and I've cut it to a uniform height, then I want to make sure that I've cut off any weak stems. And then the third thing is I want to cut off any branches or stems that are crossing, because that will be a problem as well. And then the one thing that you have to remember is that the more branches you cut off, the bigger blooms you will have, but the fewer of them you'll have. So if you leave more stems or more branches on your panicle hydrangea, you're going to have a lot more blooms, but they are going to be smaller. So I've decided that I don't want giant blooms. I think I will enjoy having more of the smaller blooms. So I'm actually not going to cut out a lot of them. I'm only going to cut out the really weak ones or the ones that are crossing, and then I'm going to let all those branches bloom with smaller bloom heads, and hopefully I'll have more of them. Okay, so let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to do a real quick cut, cutting off all the blooms. I'm probably going to save these, honestly. Here. Look at that, it's a free bouquet. All right, let me put these down, and then I'll get the rest. And if you kind of look really close here, you can see these little nodes or buds, and these are where the new leaves and then eventually the new blooms will come out of. So when you prune, the best thing to do is you want to go right above one of those buds so that you'll get more branching and you will get more blooms. So since this one's in front and I don't want it to knock anybody in the face, I'm going to prune this one all the way down here. Okay, so I think I'm just going to shorten these a little tall. And then this one that's sticking out is also going to smack people in the face, so I'll probably get that one down. Okay, so that looks like a really good shape. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to take out some of the straggly ones. Like this one right here, not only is it straggly, but it's also crossing another branch. So I think that that one's a good one to take out. And then also right behind it. And then down here, this one's crossing here. And this one, if you can see, it's kind of going right in between that one. So those aren't going to be good branches to have anyway. So I'm going to take those out. And then right here, here's a good one, a good example. This one will definitely cross these. So although this is a nice sturdy branch that probably will have some good blooms coming off of it, it's gonna cross and it's gonna rub these two branches together. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take that one off too. All right, you guys. So that's it for pruning this bush, hydrangea bush. Again, this is a limelight hydrangea. I have some bobo hydrangeas, which are also panicles, and then I also have some limelight primes that are also panicles. So I'm just gonna go through, I'm gonna prune all of them back, and then hopefully they'll start blooming pretty soon. All right, on to the second limelight hydrangea that I have here. And one thing I just wanted to say before I went any further is that with panicle hydrangeas, they're pretty hard to screw up. It's pretty hard to mess up with these because they bloom on new wood. So really, I could just go back and I could quickly chop all these blooms off and it'll be fine. The hydrangea will look absolutely gorgeous in the summer. You know, we go through and we tend to complicate things, and I just want you guys to know that it doesn't have to be complicated. Just go out there and just prune it. You're not gonna mess up. Now, that's with panicle hydrangeas. If you had a macrophylla hydrangea or a mountain hydrangea or any of the other ones that bloom on old wood, you actually can mess up one of those. If you prune at the wrong time, you can cut off all your blooms for that year. So that's just something to remember, and you guys will notice that I don't have a lot of those hydrangeas in my yard for that simple reason. These are so much easier to deal with. They do so much better in my hot climate, zone 9B. So you'll see most of my hydrangeas are panicle hydrangeas. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, and there we go. I know it's just a bunch of brown sticks, so it's probably hard for you guys to see, but all the dead blooms are cleaned off and it's all pruned to the height and the nice thick stems that I want it to be. So it should be really nice come late spring, summer, and it should be a beautiful show. So now I just need to go through the rest of my yard and prune the rest of them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of all over the place with a couple things going on, but there's a lot going on for gardening this time of year. You know, we're almost there. We're almost to our last frost, and then things are just gonna go crazy, and I'm really excited about it. And I know you guys are excited about it as well. So I hope you guys liked my cut flower seed succession plan on my Google Sheets. Again, I'll leave the link in the description down below so you guys can check on it. That is my actual document that I'm using this year, so it will be updated as I add things and change things, so you guys can see that. And then, you know, just take what you want from it. Just get some ideas of how you can, you know, fit as much as you can into a small plot of land. Again, my cut flower garden is only 200 square feet, which is not a lot, but my goal is to get as many blooms out of that small space as I possibly can this year with those 3 successions. And then my bonus plantings as well, you know, and that's the great thing about this succession plan and having it all out on paper is that it allowed me to see when my blooms were kind of in a lull and when I could plant things in the rest of my garden, so I still had some cut flowers to cut from in the rest of my garden. So again, I hope this was helpful to you guys. If it was, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in another video very soon. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you guys get some time to garden today.